Alright, so this is what we're testing today. Impatient versus Ferocious when we have Demon God Serenity and Musclehead as the others on these raid pals. Because I ended up breeding around 5,000 Rios before I got Demon God. I ended up with these two armies. I wasn't intending on using 15 and 15 to test, but that's the way it is. I ended up with that happy incident. So I started off by testing 2 against Victor. And you can see here that this is the one with Ferocious. He's doing like a perfect loop of Beam Slicer, then he's doing the Magna Crush, and then Holy Burst, and then into Beam Slicer again. So just a perfect loop of these 3 skills together. And then once you did the same thing with the Impatient build, you'll see Beam Slicer, and then it uses Magna Crush again. And really the best skill here is Holy Burst, so you want Holy Burst to pop off. And that uses Beam Slicer again, because Impatient has lowered the cooldown so much. Party pals have a lower cooldown than base pals. So just for that, I think you should go Ferocious if you're planning on using it in a raid, or I mean in a party against tower bosses. If you're not going for Vampiric, which you would probably swap for Impatient or Ferocious. Then I did the test with the 15 raid pals against the bosses. I did 2 raids with each build. And first against Libero, Libero Ultra, I got the exact same times pretty much for the Impatient army and the Ferocious army. Like 1 second difference. So pretty much the same, using the same build and everything on each of the pals. It's me, Beam Slicer, and the 2 exclusive skills. So then I did the same thing against the second raid boss and also got almost exact same times. You can see that it doesn't seem to matter at all for these, let's say, easier, the earlier raid bosses. The time was like almost identical for the Ryus. So DPS actually seems to be identical. Let's just say the DPS for them is the same. So what other factors are there? When I did the Xenolord, I didn't do the DPS test against Ultra, because that feels like it's too much RNG with them getting one shot every now and then. Ferocious seemed to do a little bit higher burst against Xenolord to get him to that first stun phase. That's what that health after 2 minutes is about. But the kill time, a little bit more random. One was lower, one was higher. You would need to do several more raids to get a perfect average, but it still seemed to perform equally in terms of just raw damage. But I still ended up using the Impatient army in this video now to do the 3 raids to showcase them. Just because I'm kind of like thinking about more than just, what do you say, like just the DPS. You get the Impatient, you get Magna Crush popping off more often. Hopefully that leads to some like reduced damage taken as well. They will be more time spent in the air in that comment thing. And then the build here includes using the healing potion. And then here against Libero, I'm pretty sure they're gonna kill Libero. They're super effective in every phase, so I'm trying out these grass grenades to cause the root effect. And trying to time it before they all use the 15 brawn impacts. So when she has that root effect, if you don't know, she takes double fire damage. So it's something I've been like meaning to test out more with the grenades. I just thought it'd be fun to try out here before he does 15 claps. They do have diminishing returns. You kind of want to start throwing a little bit before. Like the first time you can probably throw 1 or 2 grenades before they all do it. And here you probably want to start throwing a bit earlier. Some unfortunate timing there with the teleport. But what ends up happening here is, instead, I think they do 2,500 with the brawn impact. Let's see here. Yeah, around 2,500. And then when she's rooted, they do 5,000. So then in phase 2, when she's ice, you could actually save the grenades for that. They would do 10,000 instead, because it would double the super effective damage. So I'm just throwing grenades here because of the diminishing returns, which means that each time she gets rooted, the chance of her getting rooted again is lower. I think you can probably see a couple of 5,000s in there in the mix with the root effect. So you could do some builds around that. Right now aggregates are a bit weird. Like with water and electric grenades, I guess you would wait until they have procced soaked. Let's say you're using a bunch of water attacks against a pal. you would have to wait until they stopped proccing Soaked, because Soaked overwrites Electrify, and then throw electric grenades. And hope that the water doesn't overwrite the electric, and then the water will deal double damage. And the same thing when using water grenades before electric. Those are like the 3 combos you can do: grass, water, and electric to double the damage. So overall, Libero, Ryu is super effective against both phases, has exclusive skills that are super effective against both phases, so it seemed to do pretty well. And then not a single one seems to have lost any health with these healing potions. Also pretty neat. So one thing about Ryu is it has that same German-Tide Ignis element bonus. It just lacks legend. That's kind of why I'm doing this test, because of these raid pass lacking legend. It always opens up one more skill option, so they need to be tested a little bit differently, and they have their exclusive skills as well. So for the Ryu attempt, I'm doing a little bit of testing with the cooldown and how it lines up with the super effective skills being pulled off cooldown. So usually what happens is you have wall splash on your raid army, and they all use wall splash before they use Holy Burst. So I wanted them to use Holy Burst first, but unfortunately they all decide to Magna Crush first, even if it's not super effective, it's weak. So I'm not sure why. If that has changed a little bit, I was expecting them to use that last, because it's weak. But it doesn't really matter. I guess they dodge his first attack with it, in a way. And then you have the Holy Burst. So if you had Wall Splash instead of Air Blade, which I'm using, Wall Splash would come out before Holy Burst in all the scenarios. And I want Holy Burst before the 3rd skill at least. And then I want to remove Magna Crush, because that's kind of what the build is all about. Him just flying around in a comment and hopefully healing and dodging attacks. Like, the dream is for him to be dodging Holy Burst. The downside of using Magna Crush, there is a downside. Similar to Bastigor, they all sort of pile up in a huge clump for a second or two. Then they tend to spread out. Like if all 15 of them Magna Crush and land on top of the raid boss, they tend to jump backwards a little bit in different directions, which is nice. But they still, I've had a couple of instances where Bastigor and this pal Ryu here, they just get one-shotted by a Stone Beat or Holy Burst from Xenolord Ultra. All 15 of them. It's not a lot of fun. Like, it happens with the other raid pass as well. It's just happens more with these jumping in, like even Anubis. If you use Anubis for raiding. It is an interesting pal, since it has that dodge mechanic. It's not something I noticed being like super relevant when I was raiding Ryu with Anubis, but it is potentially a little bit less damage taken, similar to Magna Crush, but like every little bit counts. Overall, the health is looking good. They haven't lost a single health. There's no rescue pals in this video at all, because rescue pals are a little bit bugged right now. They're not negatively bugged, they're overpowered bugged. A bit too strong to feature. So that's why we're doing regular Xenolord, not Xenolord Ultra, because Xenolord Ultra requires rescue pals, and since they are just broken right now, I decided to do regular Xenolord instead. So it's regular Xenolord without rescue pals. And it's the same build. And something I didn't really mention is Ryu is the Air Blade as well. My hope is that since they're all piling up close, it will work a little bit like a shotgun build. I was considering Rock Burst, but they would all land after Magna Crush and Rock Burst. I went with Air Blade though, just because I think Rock Burst would have been used before Holy Burst. And I really think like prioritizing Holy Burst, I do think that is why stuff like Holy Burst, Lightning Streak, Airblade has scored so high on a lot of DPS tests together. Just because Holy Burst is strong, and when it's using Airblade and Lightning Streak, Holy Burst gets used as the highest priority. Well, if you're like, oh, I'll use Holy Burst and I'll add the strongest super effective skill, like Beam Slicer or something, those skills will be used before Holy Burst. Or even if you're adding like a third skill, oh, it's fire, I'll have Flame Funnel and I'll just add like a Flare Storm as a filler. Then Flare Storm gets used before Holy Burst. So So that's why I'm using the Airblade. Just trying out the shotgun build and to have it as a lower priority. Magna Crush also seems to deal quite well with these ads. So there's a downside to the Ryu. Like, you're gonna be comparing probably Ryu to German-Tide Ignis, because they have the same element. So Ignis has an exclusive fire attack. I haven't really compared it to Brawn Impact, I haven't used it a lot. Fire has not been super relevant. I mean, Bastigor is weak to fire, but try using German-Tide Ignis against Bastigor and get back to me. It's not fun. So you're gonna be comparing those two. Ryu is like the raid boss thing, it's cool and everything. It has a smaller hitbox. But it can't get legend, and right now it can't get like absolute frost. So the problem before was it couldn't get holy burst, now it can get holy burst, but now it can't get absolute frost. So that's kind of why I'm using Magna Crush as well. I feel like, yeah, it has an exclusive skill, I'm gonna use it, but also because like no absolute frost hopefully deals with the ads, and it seemed to work out pretty well against the ads. So that was the Ryu raid day, I guess. Builds test. So it doesn't matter. Go Ferocious, go Impatient, go whichever one you like. If you want to fly around in the sky a lot with the Comet, use Impatient. If you want to do a little bit higher DPS, I think go Ferocious. So for now, thanks for watching.